There's one thing that I really enjoyed. I listened. I don't know what show you said this on, but it was something about, and forgive me if I butcher the exact quote, something about expanding your strike zone consistently, I guess, throughout your life, perhaps on a personal level and also on a professional level. I'm curious to you what that looks like, perhaps on an everyday level, what expanding that strike zone could look like, and how you go about doing so.
Yeah, so the idea that, when you're looking at a pitcher throwing a ball to a batter, the umpire is standing behind the catcher and he's looking, and there is essentially, you can't see it except if you're watching on TV, they'll throw something up where it's a box, right? And if the ball is in the box or touches the line, it's a strike, and if it goes outside, it's a ball. And I think like the best pitchers are unafraid of throwing balls. Because they know that the best pitchers know that if you can, the more dynamic of a pitch, the more risk you're taking, and there's a potential that it's not a strike. I think that there are certain very good pitchers who can throw strikes all day long right down the center of the box, and they don't really explore the corners or the edges. And they're great, and they're good, and they'll do really well professionally for a long time. But they're not like Hall of Famers, really. And I think there's a lot of actors who are like that, who are really good, but they kind of play the same thing over and over and over again. And it's hard to do that. I mean, it's hard to be a pitcher in the major leagues and throw strikes. It's hard to be in front of the camera and be yourself. You're like, he's always playing himself. Well, that's really hard. It's really hard. If it was easy, every producer's kid would be, an actor. But then you start seeing people throw, they're throwing strikes, and then they start like exploring and expanding that strike box. I mean, I think really good examples of that have been like Matt McConaughey, or Ben Affleck even, who I think is a really good actor. And then there's people who have just been kind of hitting corners from their jump, like a Philip Seymour Hoffman. But you look at someone like Bob Odenkirk, who's got such an interesting career. Nobody ever would have thought this guy would be one of the top actors in television, cable television, ever. No agent thought that. No lawyer thought that. No publicist thought that. I mean, imagine this guy is cranking away, and he gets this call to go be on, Breaking Bad. And he's like, oh my God, they're going to offer it to me? Oh, this is so crazy. And by the way, this is like not even 10 years ago. And Bob's not 25, he's not 35. And he goes and he is thrilled to shoot at night in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because he's got 2 young kids and it's like a vacation to not be taking care of them. And he parlays that, because the work is so good and he's so talented, into his own spinoff, which is like literally one of the biggest shows on television. All these awards, all these accolades. And then he's like, how about I go and like meaningfully spend years diving into lifting weights and combat training and martial arts. And now his movie Nobody is a huge hit. And he's like an action star, like a Jason Statham action star. That's somebody who's expanding the box. And I think we see that in lots of different places and lots of different spaces. But it takes a lot of courage, because everybody's telling you, like, don't do that. If you're an action star, they don't want you to do a drama. They don't want you to do a comedy. Even yesterday, there was this article in the New York Times about all of this, all of these TV shows that are now streaming from the 90s. Like Dawson's Creek and Felicity, and they had only tied up the music rights for a certain amount of time. So now the shows that are streaming don't have the music that we all associate with those shows. So for instance, Dawson's Creek, it's a little before your time, but they had this song like, it's like, I don't want to wait for my time. I can't sing, right? But I can't sing, like literally.
I've heard you say that. But that wasn't.
That was terrible.
It could have been worse.
But it's a famous song, goes with the show, right? And now if you turn it on, you don't get that song. So, but I'm thinking about it. I'm like, guaranteed, like those are the best lawyers in the business. Like most important people were putting together those deals, and they just didn't really see around the corner. And sometimes people do see around the corner. A lot of times they do, and then they're made to feel like their opinion or their point isn't valid. but we need to ask more frequently, like, why not? I mean, residuals for actors. Nobody got residuals before a certain point, and somebody's like, I want to be a part of that. And I'm sure everyone's like, no, we don't do that. It's not how we do it. It's like, well, why not? And there is something really important about constantly asking those questions. Why can't I throw the ball over here? Why can't I do the scene sitting down? Why can't he have his hair colored like that? Because real life is so dynamic, and people tend to shrink from that when they're making choices as an actor or as a writer or director. And frankly, in lots of parts of our lives, we don't appreciate the dynamism that is right there in front of us.
How do you? So you're 38 now.
Yeah,
You got a birthday coming up soon, I believe. I think I heard you say you want to die on set, which hopefully is in a very, very long time. But how do you gauge, expanding that strike zone and hitting those edges from today, where you're 38, to hopefully a long,
you keep
healthy
living.
life ahead?
You just have to keep living a very full life. With your eyes and your heart open. I mean, look, I hope I die in some, name for like world peace, like on some march, and someone, some soldier shoots me, and it makes, it helps bring peace to some country or to some group of people. I mean to say that I don't plan on retiring, which
Yes.
I want to die on set. But I think, one of the privileges of being an actor is that you get to live this. It invites you to live a very satisfying, fulfilling life, and it demands that if you're trying to expand that strike box. It demands that if you want to be able to create dynamic, authentic characters. And one of the things that I hope people learn from an actor's life is that they can have that same life too, regardless of what their profession is.
Are you able to turn off the Johnathan Tucker actor when you get home and you're Johnathan Tucker husband and father?
Well, not actor, but maybe character.
Character.
Yeah.
Are you able to kind of turn it off if you've been spending a day at work?
Yeah, I mean, look, these are you try, you do your best, and I'm certainly not going to come home from Westworld and use the N-word around the house, right? But if you're you're in a extraordinarily, if you're in a hopped up scene and it's a night shoot and you come home and it's 6 a.m, it's it's a little hard to get right to bed. And these characters become you, and they become a part of the fabric of your, the fibers of your body. But you also have to learn how to say goodbye to them as well.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.